Good afternoon. It's December 10th and it's 1:08 p.m. We're here for negotiations between the city and the local fire union. Last time we went into caucus and we came back just to end the session. So the time is yours.
You missed one.
There should be 6 copies.
There was two documents.
There is 2.
Okay. Well,
You want me to go?
all right. So after some deliberation time here, looks like we're missing a copy of the one, but I can just tell you what it is. Adam, if you want to explain the counter to the pay adjustment cycle.
Okay. Try not to miss anything. I'll let you go and I'll jump on the back of it.
Okay. All right. So we, after some consideration and after talking with a few of our folks in our payroll, on the payroll side of things, one of the things that we determined was a need from them, and we have somebody here to speak to it after I'm done here, is we would like to strike a sentence from Article 12, Section B, which has to do with overtime pay and comp time. The sentence is, the employee may not combine overtime pay and compensatory time in the same pay period. Christy, if you want to come and join us and explain how this would make your life a little bit simpler on the payroll side of things within the department. Yeah.
Sure.
So with this clause being in the current contract, it requires that on a payroll processing, we monitor and oftentimes have to go through and change the code from overtime and comp time. The fire department processing of overtime and comp time is different than the rest of the cities. Overtime and comp time has a hard code that is entered into the system. There is some overtime that is calculated by the system for the scheduled hours worked overtime, but the overtime for callback and shifts and those things are hard-coded as comp time or overtime. So this summer, when we had deployments, and per the contract, it says anybody who has overtime that's going to be reimbursed, that must be paid as overtime. They cannot elect comp time. If they had elected comp time for any other work during that pay period, it makes us then have to go back into our scheduling software and into Time Clock Plus to change that code. And if we haven't caught it until it's gone into Naviline, it requires us to change that code in 3 systems. So it's actually more work than just allowing comp time or overtime to be selected and then just monitoring for those reimbursable costs that must be overtime.
Can you introduce yourself just for the minutes, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm Christy Pincock, Office Manager, Pocatello Fire.
And you're here as a union member, not as a city employee, correct?
Yes, the union asked me to come and consult on this.
Okay, thank you.
So this counter to the adjustment in our payroll, this counter is something that we asked for in last negotiation cycle. When I talked to Christy a couple days ago, she said that after negotiations were completed, she spoke to JJ and Jessica in payroll and explained the navigation of how we input our, correct me if I misspeak to any of this, how we navigate submitting our hours to the city, and explained all that. And we found out that it can indeed be done. The information that we got from last negotiations was that it was not possible. And so in light of that, we wanted to make sure that our counter was reflected, and we feel like this counter is directly reflects kind of what you're asking for. The city's trying to make it easier for their payroll to navigate all the hours and pay us in the time allotted. We want to make it easier for our finance internally, and you're proposing an ask of the entire body, and this would be a benefit to our entire body. So it's pretty close to it reflects who's impacted.
Okay.
Okay. And here is our counter to, you got one?
Do you have one more?
Yeah.
Down to Marisa.
Okay, so we changed a few things inside of the highlighted area. We added only the total number of positions funded for the McCammon assignment will be filled. Let me see if I can find the note here. I think, and help me out here, guys, the intent of doing this is making sure that we are staffing those positions with county-funded positions. And if we, for some reason, drop below the number of funded positions, that we aren't necessarily going to run our forces lean and staff that out there, not being fully funded for those positions, if that makes sense. Then the next part of that, we struck employees working the South County Station will be 100% funded by the county, by Bannock County, with no funding from the city of Pocatello. We felt like this, that the funding source doesn't necessarily have a bearing on us as the union. That's more of an agreement between the city and the county. While we appreciate this language, we're not quite sure that it's related to the union. The next sentence, these positions do not constitute a permanent increase and will be funded, funding will be assessed every 90 days with the head count being adjusted on the Bannock County Ambulance District funding. I don't have a note in here. Do one of you guys want to speak on that one?
I think we just basically said they can assess it at any point in time and would have no bearing on the union as well. The fire chief could make his assessment at any point in time he wanted to.
But that assessment would be subject to Article 25.
Correct, yeah, and we
If it
left that.
resulted in
We
a
left
Yeah.
that in there. Yep. Yep. And then employees would be part of the bargaining unit. We kind of felt like this might have been just redundant, being that they will be full-time employees. And our CBA outlines that.
I think it's also important to recognize too that the employees that are hired as a result of adding these positions are not likely the ones that are going to actually be working the assignment. And so that, again, is unnecessary.
Didn't
All
necessarily-
employees are bargaining unit members.
Yeah, didn't necessarily want that to hamstring us that way, or hamstring the department. Then we added some stuff in here. It says, in consideration for travel time to the McCammon assignment, personnel choosing to drive a department-provided vehicle will be given 1/2 hour of overtime each way or 1 hour per 48-hour shift. Personnel working the McCammon assignment shall report to the McCammon station at 8 a.m. And then if any member chooses to drive their personal vehicle, no travel time will be compensated.
Okay,
We did make some,
Can I add one thing to that?
yeah,
This part about a compensation for travel time and a department vehicle being provided is modeled after our neighbors to the north. Idaho Falls has a very similar situation with the station in Swan Valley. And they have very similar language in their contract to cover that extra time in travel.
what's the financial impact of lines 22 through 25?
Well, in the simplest, it's 2 hours of overtime every 48 hours.
What's an
1 hour every
estimated
day.
cost on that?
Marcus had one. We'd have to figure that out.
Because this says overtime, not comp time. So is that being paid or is that being accrued as comp?
Well, I think that would be the employee's decision
Well, it depends on
as
if
we
we,
operate everything else.
Yeah.
As extra duty time, I suppose.
yeah.
And
We could change that language.
and how do we ensure that that time is taken on Bannock County funding and not city funding if they're working in the city?
What do you mean working in the city?
Can I answer that? When we enter our overtime into our payroll system, we elect which budget it's being paid for, and we put a project code to it. So we would probably create a project code that would be specific for that, and then it would be EMS budget. So the same way when we send somebody to do an ambulance standby at an event, we make sure that is paid out of the EMS budget, regardless of where the employee is slotted. The overtime
Yeah,
is
I
costed.
understand that from overtime, but how do you ensure that when they take comp time, if their assignment is not being taken off from when they're at McCammon?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
time.
comp, I
Sorry.
appreciate the clarification so we can make sure we have it, but how do we address comp time coming out of the correct funding?
This possibly is already addressed in the contract, but I'd have to look. I believe there's a section in there about extra duty. So when we do, when we're paid out of different budgets like wildland, USAR, hazmat, we can't use that as comp time. And I need to look at that section, but
So this would only be overtime. It would not be allowed to be elected by the employee as comp
let
time,
me
is what
see.
you're saying?
It might be addressed in here.
Right here, comp time cannot be used
So-
for hours paid by outside agencies assigned.
Comp time cannot be utilized for hours paid by an outside agency assignment due to cost recovery, including backfill for said assignments.
That's Article 12, Section B at the very bottom there.
Yeah, line 246, and I understand that. I just verbally, I was told that could be comp time or overtime based on the employee's preference. That doesn't fit within this scope, so I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly.
Well, I think our extra duty is generally a choice of the employee, but if, as part of a counter, you guys would like to specify a certain way to pay that, we would consider it.
Okay, the language here says overtime. You said it would be the employee's choice. Those are in conflict.
Yes, and overtime was used as a general term for extra duty there,
So that would be an amendment to your proposal.
if you want to counter it
Well,
with different, more specific
well,
language. I
but
think
right
that would
now,
be-
this says overtime. That is
You're
exact
referring to extra
language.
duty.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would need
we
to amend
that.
this for our consideration, because that's not what it says.
Correct.
Okay.
Might have to borrow this. It's not showing my track changes.
Okay, I understand. Thank you for the clarification.
So we left the VIBA thing in here. We just changed a few things on here. We struck, and I think it shows, yeah. So we
I
struck,
see the red line.
yeah. I'll let you guys go ahead and read through that and
Do you guys have any questions?
see if you have any questions.
We don't have any questions at this time, so I think we could go to caucus at 1:22. All right, it is December 10th at 2:37, and we are back at the table. So we have a counter proposal. I put a date at the top of this one so you knew which one we were handling. We accept your changes between lines 14 and 21. We reject 22 through 27, and then we resubmit 34 through 44 as originally proposed. Sure.
So I'll just speak quickly to the portion contained in the ambulance service that applies to that, lines 22 through 27. You know, as we were looking at this model and what we might be doing in South County, we really are at the max of what we think we can afford. You know, we had originally started with a peak hours ambulance, as you know, and we had discussed a single role paramedic versus a fire-based medic. And ultimately, through evaluating the needs and what would be best for the system, we landed on the full-time fire-based paramedic system. But that's at the max of what we feel like we can afford for those wages alone. And our rough calculations on the overtime liability for your proposal, I think, just is beyond our means. And so we would have to establish some sort of a shift change that would occur in Pocatello on the clock rather than pay overtime. It's just beyond our means to be able to compensate employees to drive down to McCammon and back.
So the overtime comp thing, has been rejected also.
We resubmit basically all of page 2 and reject your counter proposals.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
I'm just curious if you could provide more explanation with the rejection of the splitting comp and overtime as far as, I guess, burden on the city, or what the reasoning for that is.
That's outside the scope of our intent of those proposals, so they're just rejected. We're not looking at making payroll more complicated. The point was to make payroll easier, and that's why we were giving for VIBA administration.
Okay. I guess from our understanding, from our internal payroll, it would make it easier.
But you're talking front-end payroll, we're talking back-end payroll. Those things are not the same.
Okay.
I have a question on very last line. Pay will remain biweekly.
There was no change to the payroll period. It was only to the paycheck issuance, so there is no change to payroll. It was just check issuance dates. It's not the period of which payroll is calculated upon.
I have a clarification question for the chief.
Yeah.
So what does that shift change look like to you as far as
Well,
sorry, I'm going back and forth between things here.
It would, you know, just in discussing ideas, it would look something like the crew in McCammon would leave the McCammon station and drive to Station 1 or Station 5, wherever we, to swap with the crew. They would swap at 8 o'clock, and then that way everybody would be on the clock for their shift time with no additional overtime incurred. It's not ideal. It does involve some travel, but it would be an opportunity for a crew to potentially fuel, to restock the ambulance, to take care of any administrative things. But we just feel like we can't compensate above for that shift change.
Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, we'll take a minute here and talk.
All right, we're going to caucus at 2:43. It is 3:43 and we are back at the table.
All right, so we understand the impact that paying overtime would understand to this new McCammon ambulance. So we have just added some language here that we would like to see in that.
One to Marisa.
You got more? Okay. Does Maurice have one? We got it.
Any questions on that?
No, I mean, it seems to be getting into a new territory of specifying operational practices within the contract. So I guess this seems like something that probably should be in policy more than in the contract, but.
Let me see if I can maybe add to that. I guess in our discussion, we just feel like it's important with this new endeavor down in McCammon and the new kind of logistical needs that will come along with that for our individuals, that we just in some way specify in the contract that we are going to maintain at least what people are used to and expect for their arrival to work and departure from work, which is to a fire station in the city of Pocatello. And it is a little bit of operational, but I don't know unless there's a major reason not to include it, I think it will just ensure that our guys are kept whole and maintain the current practice. So it does leave some room for different solutions as far as how the transportation is conducted and turnover and stuff like that. But just that you will report to a city of Pocatello fire station.
Just so I can add, so I make sure I understand, this would, for example, be inserted after line 21 of the city's proposal?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm putting it in the right spot.
You have it as section A, though.
We have that under section B.
Oh, sorry. We can change that to B.
So you'd like it at the end of section B.
Yeah.
So this
Marisa,
would,
do you want to hand me back yours and we'll initial it?
this would preclude someone from arriving to work at the McCammon Fire Station, even if they lived in Lava.
In this case, it would, I believe. But that, again, is not a departure from what we normally do now. So,
Then, sorry, do you want to strike staffing levels? Because that is the name of section A.
Yep.
Is there anything else to our proposal that you're responding to?
None to the South County one. I will speak to the payroll adjustment proposal. The portion of the VEBA administration that the city offered, we don't necessarily need that, and would be okay scrapping that offer from the city. As far as the portion to adjust payroll cycle and our counter to adjust the comp overtime, if the city's unwilling to entertain our offer, then the local cannot accept this proposal, so it would be a deal breaker for the local.
For page 2, basically?
Yes. Yeah, starting
page
at
2.
line 28.
Yeah, starting at line 28.
So can we get that in writing?
Yeah,
Sure.
what in writing?
Well, what you're not accepting, because your only thing is you've added that to this, but you didn't respond in writing to all of this.
yep, we'll get it to you in writing.
Can we do that by interlineation of what we have, so we don't have to do another caucus?
Yep. Wait,
So you can make a mark on that, and just like you edited what you provided.
okay.
Or you can just write on here, striking after.
You want me to do it on the one that I already initialed, or is it okay on this one?
Marisa?
Are you gonna add it to that?
Yeah.
Let's do it on the one you already initialed then.
He's initialing taking another change on what they proposed.
Yep,
Yep.
just that. Chief, we have that.
Yep, sorry.
Yep.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
We're going to need a brief caucus.
Okay,
You can stay in here, we'll leave.
okay, be quick.
Yeah, we'll be quick.
And we're back on the record at 4 o'clock. So the city has a counter proposal that is very small. We would like to say at the designated shift start time rather than designating 8 a.m. because nowhere else in the contract does it designate shift start at 8 a.m. It designates it if they move to a 40-hour week, but not for regular shift.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any plans to change shift time, but we'd hate to memorialize it in one section, and then if a conversation's around changing shift times for better health and safety of employees arises, we want to be able to act on that in conjunction with the union, not,
We don't want to be back up here to change time in the contract.
You guys want to talk about that? You guys good with that?
I'm okay with that.
Austin?
No, yeah.
Good. Think we can TA that.
Okay.
Why is it every time we TA, you have to give me
You
a
don't
pen?
have the pen, I know. We can prepare this in an MOU form and just send it to you, Jordan, is that fine?
That will be fine.
Okay,
We would like to have this on the council agenda for next Thursday, which is the 18th.
Okay.
Can your union ratify it before then?
Say what day was it again?
Next Thursday, the 18th.
I don't think we can notice it that fast, can we?
Well, we will have a meeting, right?
The 17th is our
Wednesday.
meeting. But how long do you have to notify it before?
How much notice do you need that we?
would
We
like
should
to-
be okay.
We'd like to put it on the agenda, and then if necessary, we'll pull it if the union doesn't ratify.
That should be, we should be able to make that work.
okay.
I mean, we'll know Wednesday evening if it.
And we'll
that
pull
works.
Thursday
It'll be
morning
on
if we
the
need
agenda
to.
regardless.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get you over a copy of the verbiage on the MOU once legal's drafted that up.
Okay.
And it's 4:02 and we're done. Thank you.
Thank you.